All right. Hello, everybody. We are back with another market close. It is Thursday, May 23rd, 3:45 p.m. The markets are red. Stocks are red. Bitcoin is red. Nvidia looks like the only thing today, literally. I mean, there's like a couple other stocks, but literally that is green. Everything else is red. There are a variety of reasons for why the markets are red, and we're going to discuss all of them today. Up until we get into the market close. So I want to talk about all the macro reasons, the geopolitical reasons, the kind of market sentiment reasons. If you look a little bit deeper into some of these equities that are selling off and what is going on for why the markets are red. Top line thoughts on this market. It's really interesting, isn't it? Like every time we hear in the stock market, the herd go in one direction, conventional wisdom, and I'm sure there's some studies on this, but conventional wisdom says go the other way, right? Every single time. And Nvidia going green let the entire market to go green, and everyone followed the green until it was time to go against the herd. For whatever reason it is, and there's a variety of reasons we're about to talk about, we ended up having to go the other way. Now, Nvidia has sold off slightly. Nvidia is still green for the day, but Nvidia is up, it's crazy to say it's still green for the day. It's up 9.2%. It was up almost 12% at one point. Still up. Phenomenal day for Nvidia. Added close to $200 billion in market cap. So it's been a great day for Nvidia shareholders. Been a pretty sucky day for everyone else and any other equity you own. And so the hope and promise that Nvidia would lift the market in and of itself has not really been true. Nvidia's basically been selfish and said, we're going to lift ourselves. And quite frankly, the market's been dumping other equities. And it looks like piling into Nvidia. And one of the reasons for that is because if you're an institutional money manager and you are underexposed to Nvidia, much less short Nvidia, you need to have long exposure. And it seems like people have been dumping losers, I say losers in quotes, for the inevitable winner, the winner that guided for 28 billion when the street thought they would guide for 26.6 billion, which is Nvidia. Another 100% year-over-year growth quarter is coming up in Q2. The market can't ignore that. Therefore, Nvidia continues to rally. So we got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and we'll get into what's going on today. Let me know in the chat how your portfolios are. On a green day, we all come together. On a red day, we all come together. I'm not going to lie. On Monday, my portfolio was at an all-time high. And now it's Thursday. We are not at an all-time high anymore. So it is what it is. Things happen. This is why, one of the points I was trying to make yesterday is like, as important as Nvidia's earnings is, we still have 6 months left into the year. We still have so much time, so much shit can happen that could bring us south or could bring us up. But it's like all of this momentum is very short-lived in whatever equity you have, because even Nvidia could sell off in the next couple of weeks, just as a generic 5% pullback that tends to happen. And then you've got to get this train rolling again, which is why if you're an investor, it's a more emotional and psychological game than it is anything. Anthony Noto, some breaking news right here before we get into the macro. He did buy some SoFi, so let me show that real quick. Then you guys can put in the comments if you feel comfortable how much you are down percentage-wise on your portfolio. I know some people were already saying that. Noto did buy the dip today. He bought 28,900 shares of SoFi, 691. I hope that is enough to give the street a little bit of strength and confidence. $200,000 for Noto. I don't know if the street's going to care that much, but he is buying the dip. So at least the CEO of the company is saying that, hey, I think the company is undervalued at this point. Okay, cool. So let's get into all the macro stuff we got. We got people down 6%, up 4.8% because of Nvidia. Okay, that's perfect. There you go. Down 2.45%. I'm beneficial, down 4%. Ryan Carlson, if it's actually your birthday, shout out to you. It's not my birthday for those that are new to the chat. There's people that wish me happy birthday every day, but it's not my birthday. But shout out to you, Ryan Carlson, if it is your birthday. Thank you for being here. June's down about 20K, up 2% due to Elf and Nvidia, down 3.5% for Eric Wood. Yeah, I would imagine that people are down today unless you have Nvidia or Elf. Even Snowflake ended up. Where's Snowflake right now? And then we'll get into the macro. What happened with Snowflake? Snowflake, yeah, wow. Snowflake's down 5.56%. That's actually pretty aggressive, dude. Even Palantir is down 2%. Snowflake's down 5% for the day. All right, so let's get into some of the macro reasons. What's going on for why the markets are red? First of all, the number one reason, in my opinion, is PMI. PMI data is basically data that shows if manufacturing is, or it is a survey on data of manufacturing output in the United States. Above 50 means we're expanding. Below 50 means we're contracting. Market wanted 51 on the PMI reading. We got 54. Alan, thank you for the $2 super chat. It's not my birthday, but I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. For the super chat. Dude, I said that yesterday in front of like 3,000 people. It was so embarrassing. Someone gave a $20 super chat, and I was like, thank you for the super chat. And I was like, oh, no one's going to notice that. And then every comment's like, did you just say super chat? I'm like, yeah, dude, my stomach's hurting. That's what I did a couple minutes ago. Anyway, so I think that PMI data really got the markets to be a little worried about, well, is this inflation thing actually coming down? Because once we got that PMI data coming in at around 10 a.m., the markets didn't like that. You look at the S&P 500 right now. We were talking about the S&P 500 being up 13% year to date. Now it's barely holding on to up 10% year to date. I mean, it's still above 10%. If we look at the S&P right now, Nvda is at 1,040. S&P's at year to date 11.38. So unless we fall 1.38% in the next 9 minutes, we will have ended the 100th trading day of the year up 10%, which means 9 times out of 10, we're going to finish the year up another 8.8%, which is good news, right? That's good for the historical understandings of the market. But when that PMI data came out, we fell. Look at this nasty fall today. 534. Wow, we hit 5. I didn't even know we hit 534. 534 all the way down to 524.72 on the lows. And now we got 525.69. So that PMI data is good news. I think this is a stupid dip because the market's like, oh, inflation is going to be around for longer. That is a ill-advised understanding, in my opinion, because we know the inflation data is going to come to the negative, even if it's going to take a few more months. But the markets are selling off the idea that the Fed is not going to give us that rate cut because they're going to be more concerned given the PMI is coming in higher. And that means that people are going to be spending more, which means inflation is likely not going to come down. Again, that's a good piece of news for the economy. The economy is expanding. There's more jobs. That's very good. It just is perceived as bad. Is the actual implication of it bad? I don't think so. And I think in the next coming months, there's going to be an overwhelming amount of disinflation data that proves that the current conception of inflation is actually going to go to the downtrend, which is going to be good for the broader economy. So that's one of the things that hurt the economy today, or at least hurt the stock market. That's good data for the economy, but it hurt the stock market because of inflation fears. The next thing that happened, which I didn't get to talk about, I mean, we talked about it briefly in the morning. I was reading on this last night, but our good friends over at the CCP decided that they want to do military drills around Taiwan as strong punishment. What are they punishing them for? I don't fully understand yet. But I don't understand what the hell is going on with China. Their economy is absolute garbage. Alibaba finally started waking up this month because the investing community was like, okay, maybe, China's not going to, kill Jack Ma. Maybe they're going to open up the economic freedoms of China. And now, we've got this geopolitical risk. Is this the number one reason the markets are down? No, but I definitely think this is a reason why people don't want to hold equities over the weekend because you just don't know what the hell is going to happen. Do I really think they're going to invade Taiwan over the weekend? No, but it's annoying, right? Because it creates another a factor and variable of instability, which is bad for the overall markets. And on top of that, it messed up Bitcoin. I think a lot of people are not ready to hold Bitcoin. We saw what happened last time when Israel when Iran sent missiles at Israel on a random Saturday. Bitcoin fell, pretty dramatically. There was Middle Eastern instability that no one wanted to see. If that's happening in the China-Taiwan region, no one's going to want to see that as well. Bitcoin at 67,000. Dude, we were just celebrating close to 72,000 literally 2 days ago. I mean, yesterday we were above 70,000, but I think on Monday we had a hell of a day, or Tuesday. It was incredible. Now we're at 67. We're back in this just like a limbo zone of Bitcoin where it's just not really getting to the levels we needed to get to. Now, granted, it's not at the 56,000 level that it was at in April, but still, it is annoying to see how that's playing out. So I think there's a variety of factors going on. We got that PMI data plus that hot jobs data, 220,000 unemployed or filed for unemployment versus the 222,000 that were expected. Again, not that hot, but it was hot. Then you got PMI data, and then you got this geopolitical stuff going on in regards to China and Taiwan. Now, the actual reason I think the market's selling off is because people want to buy more Nvidia. And I think that's another argument. For Nvidia to go opposite to the market, for the S&P to fall 2%, Nvidia to go up 10%, it means that investors are scaling into Nvidia a little bit more. And that is creating volatility for any other equities that exist in the broader market. DP says the fact that Bitcoin reacts so strongly to every conflict in the world is not good at all. I agree. I am not one of those people that ideologically believes that Bitcoin is a hedge against some of the conflict, inflation, or things like that. I think it's like a growth stock. And unfortunately, when you have instability around the world, growth stocks will do bad, just like Bitcoin. So it is very frustrating. As Ada says, it's very frustrating about China as well. You think that they're clearing up. Alibaba down 2% of the day because now investors are like, dude, we know it's undervalued. We get that Pinduoduo is undervalued, but we can't buy this shit if you guys are invading Taiwan. Like, we cannot hold these assets. It's just not possible. And so that is the most annoying part. Now, Michael Burry doesn't think that's a risk. He added 66% to his Alibaba position, 80% to his JD position. But the rest of the market seems like it is a risk. Let's get an update on Nvidia. Let's hear a little bit from Josh Brown. He's been holding Nvidia for a while. Then we got 5 minutes until the market close.
Obviously, come to you first. We all know the story by now of what happened with the earnings. 24 price target increases at least today. Stacy Rascon with us yesterday ahead of the number, goes to 1,300, nowhere near its peak is what he says. The list long and distinguished today of the similar kind of commentary following these numbers. Obviously, this was not priced in.
So I rewatched the clip of you, me, Stacy, and Bryn. Were we bullish enough? Like, we were all like, oh my God, it's Nvidia. They keep doing this. Like, somehow now they're guiding sales to 28 billion for the next quarter. That's up another 100% year over year. That should have been slowed down by now, and it's not. Analysts were looking for 26.6, so it's a meaningful guide. I mean, and apparently it was enough. The 10-for-1 split is the thing that I don't think a lot of people expected. I don't think that this has anything to do with Dow Jones inclusion. I saw some people saying that. Very, very unlikely that the committee is in a rush to add Nvidia to the Dow 30. Not saying they shouldn't or they never will. I just think what that's about is options trading and stock-based compensation at the company. And there are a whole host of reasons for why they would want to do that. And it's not until June. So are there a lot of sellers between now and June ahead of the split? And you don't have to like send me emails. I understand how splits work. They don't really change the fundamental value, but people love them. You can deny it if you want to. I'm just giving you the behavioral side. So that was the surprise here, and good enough for a pretty big day, up 100 points. Best performer in the S&P 500 right now.
The question is, I mean, at times you have used, levitation in this stock to take some profits. Okay.
Yeah, stupid.
So, well, that's my question. Like, what,
That's hilarious, right? You're sitting on like a 10, 15x and it's stupid to sell. That's insane. That's how amazing Nvidia has been.
Is it stupid?
I have to.
But
no,
I mean,
it's not stupid.
So what are our viewers supposed to do today with the stock up like it is and hitting a new record? Are you supposed to take some profits?
Right.
Are you going to be disappointed that you did the next earnings report?
All right, so I don't think there's a right answer that fits everyone. I think a lot of this depends on, first of all, are you a professional or are you retail? If you're retail, you have no one to answer to. If you're a professional, you do. I think a lot of the buying that you're seeing in the stock, though, is because of exactly that. Really difficult to tell your investors that you're focused on innovation and growth stocks and be materially underweight Nvidia. Like, what are you even saying you do? So that buying pressure is something that we've witnessed after every earnings report since the end of 22. The other thing that I would point out that's really important here, I've been in the stock a long time and I have ridden it down 70%. 70% drawdowns in this name, 50% drawdowns. Not everyone can do that, especially if they're benchmarked, especially if they're answering, to LPs who are, expecting them to like hedge risk, et cetera. So it's a different answer for different people. My answer, I've already taken out my initial investment in this company multiple times over, so it almost doesn't matter. So I don't really feel any urgency that I have to like ring the register here. I'm fine. I'm staying with it. And I do think that this is a decade-long story unfolding ahead of us.
Weiss, you're in it.
Pretty incredible, man. So, I mean, I kind of agree with Josh Brown there. It's like there's not really a reason to sell if you think it's a decade-long story, and the drawdowns are just great dip opportunities. So if you're sitting on a pretty hefty average in terms of like, $400, $500, $300 average, then if it dips, do you really want to take profits or do you really want to average up if it dips, right? If it dips to like 700, let's say, that would be crazy. You would be just increasing your average, but not increasing your average as quickly as if you bought at 1,038. So if it dips, it's a buy the dip. Do you need to take the profit right now if it's a decade-long story and you're patient? It kind of leads to what we're seeing here today. The people that have been holding this for a long time, they don't see any need to sell. And the people that don't have any exposure, they're like, oh my God, it's a decade-long story. I got to get in, which creates momentum to the upside for the stock price. There are more buyers than sellers, up 9% on the day. Incredible story for Nvidia. We got a lot of other stuff to cover as the market closes. Thank you all for being here at 4 p.m. Thursday, May 23rd. Markets are now closed. All right, the stock market is closed on the day. Today's high was 1,063 on Nvidia. Absolutely incredible. So we're ending on the day 1,037.99 on Nvidia. S&P 500 525 falling about 1% on the day. Alibaba falling 2.3%. Tesla, rough day for Tesla, dude. 3.54% on the day. It is red. And well, it's been a bad day for pretty much every stock. So I mean, that's why we're getting the red that we're getting in Tesla. But as you can see right here, 173.9 after hours, down 3.54%. Palantir also tough day. I did not buy any Palantir today. I know I asked on Twitter. Let me know in the chat if you bought any Palantir today. I bought a decent amount, at $21.30. So now I'm scaling into it slowly. If we get into the low 20s, I'll buy some more. But that's down 2.10% on the day. AMD was down 3%. Even AMD, you would think that would be the beneficiary of Nvidia. Nope, that one goes down. Is Bitcoin dumping right now? Oh boy, that's a nasty dip. We were just at 67,000 when I shared my screen. Look at that red candle. We were just there probably 5 minutes ago. It can't be more than 5 minutes ago. Now we're down to 66,678. Let me see if there's any earnings today. I don't think there's any big ones. Let me check right here. Today's May 23rd. Dude, we're about to be in June. This is crazy. After the close, we have Intuit. Deckers. Is that the shoe brand? Okay. I mean, let's pull those up. Let's see if there's any moves real quick. Intuit. Is there anything there? Intuit's an interesting one. Intuit. Oh, wow. We got a red candle on Intuit already. Goodness gracious. It's only been 2 minutes. Let me load up their earnings real quick. Intuit owns QuickBooks and Credit Karma and all that stuff. For those that don't know, you probably use one of their products if you're in the United. I think they're more domestic than global. I could definitely be wrong about that, but in the United States, most people have probably used an Intuit product. INTU. In fact, the CEO of PayPal right now was one of the vice presidents of small business at Intuit. Okay, we got earnings for Intuit. $9.88 per share, beating expectations of $9.38. Revenue of $6.7 versus $6.6 billion. So they beat. Not that exciting of a beat, and that's why they're down 3%. It's not that big of a deal, but they're down 3%. That's a $185 billion company. That's a big one. We'll get back to that, but that one's down 3%. ELF had a really good day. ELF is at 184, up 18% on the day. Who would have thought, dude? Up 20% on the day. ELF is up 20 freaking percent on the day. Now, the reason ELF is up on the day is because of this. So ELF was down 15% after hours yesterday. Today, I think the market started to realize, well, wait a second. ELF beat the original full year 2024 guidance by 43%, and they beat the EBITDA guidance by 61%. Now, is it growing as much as it was growing in 2023? No, but it's not like eventually Nvidia is not going to grow that much either, but the growth is still well past the expectations. And now, a lot of buyers are realizing, well, wait a second, we messed up on this. ELF is at 184. Meet Kevin apparently shorted ELF today. And he lost the money. I don't know how much money he lost, but he tweeted that he was short ELF. And so that one did not go that well today. But ELF is up today. What other greens do we have today? So ELF and Nvidia did well. Snowflake still did not do the best. Snowflake was down. And again, one of the reasons that Snowflake, Palantir, et cetera, all these stocks are down, here's the core reason. Nvidia is growing faster than all of them and is cheaper than all of them. And I think that's the bottom line. Every tech name you put up, Nvidia is cheaper than, for the far majority of them, just given their astronomical growth. And you could argue it's a better story than every other name. It's a better story than a Snowflake, better story than a Palantir, better story than a Microsoft, better story than every name, because all of it comes back to Nvidia, and their guidance is not slowing down. So they are cheaper than all the other names. They're growing faster than all the other names, and their guidance shows that they're not going to stop growing. That's why all this money piled into Nvidia, quite frankly. That's the reason. Everyone realized this is the game in town, and it's kind of you're now the FOMO's kicking in. And they're like, all right, I'm not invited to the party. I could take out $1,037 out of my checkings account and get into the party, and I can get into the party and bring 9 other girls with me on June 7th, right? When I get that split. So people are getting a bit more excited about Nvidia, given how cheap it is compared to the other companies on the list. I mean, even other companies that, their PEs are just significantly higher than Nvidia because Nvidia's growth justifies a smaller PE. Novix was down, 9% today. Novix was up 5% in the morning. I didn't even look at this one. That one was down 9%. SolarEdge was down 10%. Oh, where was Enphase then if SolarEdge fell? Enphase fell 3%. Okay, so Enphase didn't fall that much compared to SolarEdge, but that one's down. IWM, of course, small caps got hit, down 1.62%. MicroStrategy down 6.25%. Robinhood, what is that, 1925, I think? Robinhood, 1922. That one got hit because of Bitcoin. So pretty much everything got hit as well today. Rodney says, cheaper, you're comparing hardware and software companies like they're apples to apples. No. It actually is cheaper if you look at the PE. You could say that Nvidia is not a software company. That is correct, but they have software-like margins. Now, are the gross margins 85%? No, but they're 78%. So it's like anyone who says Nvidia is not a software company, therefore it doesn't deserve the SaaS multiple. They're growing way faster than every software company on the planet. And their margins, even though they sell hardware, and then you mix in CUDA, which is, their premier software offering, is still giving them a software-like margin. Here's the other thing about NVIDIA that people forget. NVIDIA, if you look through their 10K, NVIDIA's pricing power is more than Apple. So as you can see right here, their gross margin right here is 78.9%. I mean, that's a software-like gross margin. What other hardware companies have 78.9% gross margins? On top of that, when you look at their 10K, they are charging 10x what they are spending in cost to make the GPUs. Someone pointed that out on Twitter yesterday, and they showed like the actual cost structure. And I was like, oh, that's like Apple pricing structure. They're like, no. Apple can't even, give a premium to the iPad or the iPhone the way NVIDIA is giving a premium to these H100s. So when we think about NVIDIA as a hardware company, I don't buy it. NVIDIA has software-like gross margins. It's definitely got software-like multiples. And then the pricing power they have on their hardware, because they're a monopoly, is basically, it gives them the ability to have a software type of gross margin, even if they're selling hardware. One comparable is Enphase. I know it's a totally different industry, but Enphase is the only other hardware company I know that has 48% gross margins on their hardware. Again, most hardware companies, SMCI has 15.3%, and that's declining. So Enphase is the only comparable I know, and that's 40% less than what NVIDIA has in terms of gross margins. And Enphase is selling microinverters, which are like important. NVIDIA is selling the epicenter of what helps you create generative AI on any model you need, which is obviously the GPU. So to me, it's just absolutely incredible what NVIDIA has been able to do. And as a result of that, that's why they've gotten the multiple. Ronnie says, yeah, they have incredible pricing power, which gives them those margins, but they're still hardware and still will scale like hardware. So I think that's the debate, right, Rodney? I think that's the debate. Will NVIDIA scale like hardware, or will they scale like hardware? Because so far, anyone who said they're scaling like hardware has been dead wrong, including myself. Anyone who said NVIDIA is a hardware company and eventually will scale with hardware has been wrong. They are guiding $28 billion next quarter. That's 100% year-over-year growth next quarter. That is 4 quarters in a row where they have grown triple digits. Now we'll see what happens in Q3 if they continue to grow 100% or triple digits year over year. But so far, everyone's been wrong on NVIDIA in the context of this hardware software debate. They're growing faster than every single company on the planet. Every single company on the planet that is meaningful and important in the world, NVIDIA is growing faster than. Therefore, NVIDIA is cheaper than, just like on a pure PE basis. And as a result of that, investors are willing to give it the multiple. And the multiple isn't even that expansive when you look at the multiple they're giving to other companies that exist. Right. And as a result, of that, there's money piling into NVIDIA. I mean, look at Snowflake's PE, 159, NVIDIA, 42. We can do another one. Palantir, their PE, 61, NVIDIA, 42. Trailing 12 months for Palantir, 163. NVIDIA's trailing 12 months, 60. So it's just, when you look at these numbers, I think a lot of institutional managers like, wait a second, why the hell don't we have more NVIDIA? Now, that's not to say a lot of the other software companies are not going to get into the fray and, start growing faster than NVIDIA over the next couple of years. But right now, it's NVIDIA's world, and we're living in it. Ronnie says hardware requires raw materials. At the end of the day, can't get around that. Yeah, again, that's true, Rodney, but I still disagree. The pricing power, because of the monopolistic power NVIDIA has, it delegitimizes the traditional argument that you have to have raw materials, which decreases your margins, right? The whole point of software versus hardware is software, it's code. It's like zero, there's really no cost outside of paying the engineers for it. Hardware, you have to pay to make the microinverter. You have to pay to make the GPU. But if you're the only game in town, and you can charge 10x what you use to be able to create it. I mean, you just have the ability to have a product that is, one could argue, better than a software product if you have a monopolistic type of company on hardware. Will that last forever? Probably not, but that's what we're seeing right now with NVIDIA. Eventually everyone will have enough chips. That's correct. Eventually this this game will stop. This game will end. But if it's not for the next couple of years, that's the scary part. is that if it's not for the next couple of years, this game is going to keep going on. Let's get Liz Young's take on what's going on with Nvidia, see what she has to say, and then we'll keep going from there. And then we got a lot of other stories that we have to discuss. Here we go.
We know that the revenue of Nvidia is dependent on a lot of the other tech companies' ability to spend. And that's been clear throughout the year so far when we've heard from some of the other big tech names about what they're planning to spend on AI going through the rest of the year. You get that benefit in the semiconductor space. So far, so good. I do think that as the year moves on, investors have to be careful about risk management. This is back to what we were talking about with Josh earlier in the show. If you've been in this name a long time, if you've been in a lot of these names a long time, you're probably quite overweight at this point, or at least it's run up, making sure that you're managing your risk and managing your exposure. The good thing right now is that you've got yields up today. I mean, the 10-year's up almost 10 basis points. You've seen a pop in 2s and 10s
Yeah,
today.
well, the data today was pretty good.
The data was
right?
good. The PMI data was good. So you're seeing somewhat of a recovery and little green shoots in parts of the manufacturing space. But these stocks are not down. They're not being pressured by yield. So I don't think that's what they're trading on, even though that's what the conversation will return to now that this earnings report is behind us.
So a couple of final points on this, and then we'll move on to the Ethereum debate. I see some good comments here. Truth is Love says, how can you have enough chips when better and better chips will be necessary and businesses can't afford to fall behind? That's a very good point. Now, it brings up the conversation of if you have the Blackwell or the H100 or H200, when NVIDIA comes up with, for example, the H300, how much better is that in regards to the generative AI capabilities that your company or enterprise may need compared to what you already have? If it's significantly better, yeah, maybe you do have to upgrade, right? Just like an iPhone. Maybe you have to go from the iPhone 3 to the iPhone 4 because it's that much better. Eventually, I think you're not going to need that much more computing power, but we'll see. You know, maybe I'm underestimating how the market is. At least it looks like, dude, for the next 3 quarters, this game isn't stopping. Namir says the secondary market for NVIDIA GPUs has told us that demand has been historically high. That's another good point. Again, NVIDIA is a hardware company, but their monopolistic ability to have, and the 30 years of patents and intellectual property they have to build the GPUs that they have are giving them the ability to price their products better than one of the best brands in the world, which is Apple. And everyone's like begging them to take their money. I mean, how many times do you see a company like that in your lifetime where they make something that only they can make, they charge whatever the hell they want, and then other customers are saying, we will give you even more than that, just put us first in line? You just don't see that happen. And I think the market's realizing that if that game is not stopping soon meaning at least a year from now, then it's time to buy NVIDIA. It's time to buy NVIDIA. Ronnie says, I've been saying this since 2015. When I first started doing deep learning research, they were one of the most impressive monopolies I've ever seen. Still hardware. Yeah, I agree. Still hardware. Just one of the more impressive monopolies that actually exists right now. Vitaly says, yep, I drove it with my 25 share buy. I heard Vitaly, he tweeted today that he was buying some Unity today. I think we'll have Finance Junkies tonight, so we'll talk about Unity. This is one that Vitaly's been excited about for a while. Oh, wow, $19. This thing has gotten beaten up. Now I know why he bought some today. So this thing has gotten destroyed pretty badly. It was at $43 in December. Now it's at $19. So we're talking about a meaningful drawdown. $7 billion market cap. I do think Cathie Wood has a lot of this stock. They had that whole CEO replacement issue back in the summer of 2023. That was not the best situation for them. And it's them, and speaking of monopolies, them and Unreal Engine that are kind of the duopoly here when it comes to advanced computing for video games. So, I mean, to think that this thing doesn't rebound, given if it is a monopoly, is probably unlikely. The question is, is this a fair valuation to be paying for this? The one thing I didn't love about Unity is their stock-based compensation and their revenue projection was $545 million less. I remember this number because we covered it on the earnings 2 quarters ago than expected. And that was really bad for the street. They didn't like that. So that was one of the issues that we had for Unity. Okay, let's move on to Ethereum updates. I think we're getting the spot ETF approval today. Here's why it seems like this is a bit more political than we all thought. Let's get an update here and then we'll cover it live.
The SEC on the first ever Ethereum ETF. Bob Pisani follows this story, as you know, and is here at Post 9. I mean, we know how the Bitcoin decision went. Is there any reason to believe that this will be any different?
There is a rather strange development this week that happened. Gensler's been implacably hostile to the whole concept, and he may have changed his mind. We're waiting. And so far, there's no word from the SEC, at least not yet. SEC Chair Gary Gensler spoke at an industry conference this morning and did not say whether the agency would give a thumbs up or down to spot Ethereum ETFs. Today is the deadline for approval or denial of the Van Eck Ethereum ETF. That was the first application. This week, the SEC executed a stunning about-face on these spot Ethereum ETFs. it previously had no interaction, none, with any of the applicants, as they normally would if the SEC was inclined to approve the applications. So everybody assumed they would be denied. But on Monday, the SEC asked applicants to update their filings. Regardless,
So this is exactly what the SEC did back in January for Bitcoin, right? Gary Gensler was like, "Hey, you know that Bitcoin ETF you asked us to look at? Can you answer a couple questions for us?" And that's when everyone knew, oh shit, like they're actually going to approve it. It seems like that's what might happen with Ethereum, but the question is why?
ETFs will almost certainly not begin trading this week, even if they are approved, because the SEC does not have time to go through all of the individual ETF S1 applications. There's 9 of them, and it will likely want to approve all of them at once. And everyone's been trying to figure out what happened here. Why suddenly did they start communicating when it's been crickets? And the only real explanation most people are giving right now is just a political one, and that is Trump came out very much in favor of crypto. Biden felt he had to react. Gensler has been hostile to the whole concept for a while, and just now saying on Monday, okay, guys, let's open up discussions about this, is a sign of some kind of...
Hate it or love it, this is a voting block. I said this in the last segment. Young people get animated about cannabis and meme trading, and they love crypto. You don't have to agree with them, and you can mock them all you want, but they get animated. They go on chat boards, they're on Twitter, they're talking about it, they're gassing their friends up about it, and that's just what's up in the streets right now. I think you're seeing acquiescence. You're seeing people that are like, all right, why are we even fighting this? We have legalized gambling. We're doing in-game sports betting at the stadium. Like, what are we even doing?
I'm trying to, what would be the justification for not approving Ethereum ETFs once you've already approved Bitcoin ETFs?
Because it acts more like a security than Bitcoin. It's more centralized decision making. There's an Ethereum foundation that wields power over. This is the theory over how it works relative to Bitcoin, which is decentralized.
It's not decentralized. That's an argument. That's one of the tests for the Howey test, that you have to be a decentralized market, and that becomes, therefore, then this fits the investment contract idea here. So the important thing is the House passed a big bill this week that essentially would give a lot of the power to regulate crypto to the CFTC and deal with a lot of this. Gensler's opposed to it. Biden's been opposed to it. And we'll see what happens right now. But the fact that a bunch of Democrats supported that bill, I think that was a major factor, too.
Yeah, interesting insight. Bob, thank you for that. That's Bob Pisani.
Okay, now I don't know when they're going to announce this thing. I have no idea. Hopefully they announce it, in the next 30 minutes while we're live, but it might end up taking a while before they announce it. Now, the implications of an Ethereum ETF coming out would be pretty damn exciting. It would be pretty damn exciting. As you can see, there were a bunch of different funds like Bitwise. By the way, we'll have the CIO of Bitwise, Matt Hogan, on at 6 p.m. to talk Bitcoin, and he'll hopefully give, if the Ethereum thing is approved right before we do the show with him, that would be awesome. So we'll get to ask him about it. Bitwise has applied to also offer Ethereum to their clients. But Ethereum right here at 3,700, Bitcoin has been just disgusting over the past 48 hours, down about almost 6% after it was up 7%. Now Ethereum at 3,700, down 2%. Ethereum still is up almost 30% since Monday. So it seems like investors are like, no. We are not missing out on the run because of the ETF approval. We are pricing this in right now. We're buying it in right now. We saw what happened with Bitcoin. The same thing's going to happen here. The question is, will it happen? The more interesting part to me is that Gary Gensler seems like out of nowhere decided that he wants to get more information on the Ethereum ETFs. And, this is so funny to me because literally Gary Gensler decided to sue Robinhood or give them a Wells notice 2 weeks ago, and he messed up Robinhood's run that day, sent them from like $19 to $16 based on the idea that they're allowing Ethereum, which is a unregistered security. There is no way I think the SEC has a case against Robinhood or Coinbase about Ethereum because they can't sue them about Bitcoin anymore, but it's really about Ethereum, Solana, the alternative coins, if they're making an entire ETF for an unregistered security, So I think it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how this plays out. But if we do get the ETF, it does seem like we're going to have some more momentum in regards to Ethereum, but also to the brokerages, to like Robinhood and Coinbase as well. Okay, DEC, they had earnings after hours. DEC is up 10%. People forget DEC got into the S&P 500. I'm going to pull up their earnings right now. These are Deckers. They make shoes, essentially. And I think not just shoes. I think they also have clothes, like clothing as well. But shoes is kind of their main brand. Let's pull up their press release. Okay, here we go. We got Deckers. Deckers is up 10%. That's a nice green candle. Market cap is 23 billion. They're up 9.77%. They own Uggs. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know they own Uggs. Okay, Deckers, full year 2024 revenue increased 18% to 4.29 billion. EPS 51%, 29.16 a share. They are guiding for revenue growth of 10% for 2025. Deckers achieved record results during fiscal year 2024. Let me know in the chat if anyone's ever bought anything from Deckers, as we delivered revenue growth of 18%. Haka and UGG remain two of the most admired and well-positioned brands in the marketplace, each with a robust innovation product pipeline designed to win. With global consumers looking forward, our talented teams are highly motivated to continue driving towards the long-term opportunities of these iconic brands. Okay, so that you see, again, everyone, the people are like, oh, well, the consumer's weak because they're not shopping at Target. They're buying sneakers. They're buying Dougs. They're buying. Oh my God, dude. I saw June's comment. She said UGG, and I'm looking. They're buying Uggs from Deckers. Okay, basically they're buying Dougs. Their Doug is buying Dougs. So if there's a Doug in the chat, he's buying some Uggs from Deckers. People are buying stuff, dude. I really don't think the Target argument is the consumer's weakening. Like, yes, the consumer's weakening a little bit, but not enough. I think Target's just too expensive. I don't think it's an actual consumer problem. So they bought back 119,000 shares in Q4, and for the fiscal year, or for the entire year, they bought back 715,000 shares. They have another $1 billion left that they can buy for stock repurchases. Okay, not bad. Let me pull up Intuit's IR. Intuit's down 6.5% right now. Intuit is right here. They're up 8% right now. Deckers, Intuit, INTU, that's down 6%. Okay, let's pull it. This is a big company, dude. This is a $200 billion company. So let's see what's going on here. All right, so here we go. We have their guidance and their raise. Let's see. Intuit reports strong third quarter results and raises full year guidance. For the third quarter, Intuit grew $6.7 billion, up 12%. Increased consumer group revenue to $3.7 billion, grew small business revenue to $2.4 billion, online ecosystem up $1.8 billion, grew Credit Karma revenue to $443 million, and then Pro Tax Group revenue to $254 million. Okay, their guidance, they said they raised their guidance. They are going for $16.2 billion, which is up 13%, which is up 1% from their previous guidance of 12%. GAAP operating income of $3.8 billion. And non-GAAP operating income of $6.3 billion, which is up 21% year over year. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. They expect $3 billion next quarter, which is 13% growth, and $1.85 a share. Why are they down 6%? That's weird. A beat and a raise. Why are they down 6%? I mean, it just seems like a bad day to report earnings, I would guess. Palantir right now, after hours, down $20.69. Robinhood up a little bit at $19.29. Snowflake down 5%, down a little bit more after hours at $154. Elf is still up after hours. Nvda after hours, $1,034. That's down just a little bit. Deckers is up 8%, and the Intuit is down 5%. Yeah, Intuit going down, I don't know. It kind of seems like a Shopify situation to me, where they did really good, but just not good enough. PE of Intuit is 40. Growth is about 12% year over year. I guess you could argue it's a little expensive, right? I mean, again, everything compared to Nvidia starts to seem expensive. Like this is what I'm saying. Intuit, 40 PE. It's not in the most exciting arena. They're dealing with like taxes and shit and credit. And they're saying, hey, we're going to grow, 13% year over year. We're raising our guidance from 12% growth to 13% growth. Nvidia's like, we're growing net income 492% year over year. We're growing revenue 262% year over year. By the way, next quarter, we're going to grow 114% year over year. And their PE is less than Intuit. So when you look at it, it's just like why? What am I owning Intuit for over Nvidia? I think a lot of fund managers, I honestly think every fund manager on planet Earth asked themselves today, why don't they have enough Nvidia? The only one that didn't do it is Cathie Wood, because her thesis has been that Nvidia is dead and that the software companies are going to get all the benefits of it. I don't know if she's right about that, dude. So far, she's been wrong about that. Now, to her credit, she was buying in 2014. It's just she was selling over the past 2 years, and that's when Nvidia really went, bombastic. So outside of Cathie Wood, I think pretty much every fund manager had to ask themselves, if they're not bearish the market, if they're bullish on AI, why don't they have more Nvidia? I mean, even the Nvidia price targets today were insane. Let me see if I have this pulled up. Nvidia price targets, all of them, the highest on the street is 1300, and all of them got up here. Yeah, Bank of America 1320, JP Morgan 1150, Goldman Sachs 1200, Morgan Stanley 1160, Wells Fargo 1250, Barclays 1200, Cantor Fitzgerald 1400, Evercore 1300, Piper Sandler 1200, Jefferies 1350, Wedbush 1200, Raymond James 1200. I mean, on and on and on. The streets bought into the idea. The streets absolutely bought into the idea. So there we go. That's what we got in Nvidia. Let's look at some of these other stocks. Okay, so we get looking at Intel. Did Intel have a tough day as well? Intel down 4% on the day. I think Intel fell along with the AMDs and the SMCIs of the world. SMCI was down 3%. Yep. Again, I think all that money went into Nvidia. I really think investors looked at all their semis plays and they were like, why do I own anything that's not the best thing that exists? Now, Taiwan, look at Taiwan semi. It barely was green today. You see that is up 0.6%. Even Taiwan survived because they're very important. But if you look at an AMD or an Intel or an SMCI, you're like, is it really that important compared to Nvidia? Probably not. And then I think people, they reallocated. You know, that's my theory. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but it's hard to explain why every other name went down. If Nvidia fell down today, I would say, okay, it's a macro thing. But the entire market fell and Nvidia went up. So yeah, it's a macro thing, but it's a macro thing that just didn't affect Jensen Huang at all. And so that's what we got. Black Circle says I sold Nvidia at 220. And look, as long as you made a profit on it, a win is a win, in my opinion. It's just, it definitely does suck, right? Because this is a story that I remember at 280, a lot of people felt like people were shorting the crap out of it. I think it wasn't Everything Money, that YouTube channel. The dude borrowed his brother's money to short it even more. I think they finally covered at like 750. But I mean, people just felt that it was grossly overvalued. They did not expect the growth that was on the horizon for Nvidia, which makes it not grossly overvalued. Amid diversity and risk management, if what you said is the case, why doesn't everyone just go all in on Nvidia? Well, I mean, look, yeah, 100%, right? Like if you're a professional money manager and you have to explain to your clients why you have 20 to 30% in one stock in a diversified risk managed portfolio, that's a hard conversation to have. Now, it's a conversation you might be able to win with your client, but it's a conversation a lot of money managers probably don't want to have with their clients. So definitely there's a level of diversity and risk management that you need to have here. And I think no one should be, just all in on one stock or all in on Nvidia. But I think a lot of people realized they were underweight today. And that's what caused enough momentum to come back into the stock. And so that's what we got for Nvidia. And that's why we continue to see a bit more momentum with everyone on the street pretty much raising all of their price targets. Let's bring up one more piece on Nvidia, then we'll move on. We're still waiting for those Ethereum updates. We don't have them yet. Let me see if I can force this to see when that's going to come out. But I think we'll know in the next like 10, 15 minutes if we'll see the Ethereum updates. Okay, here we go.
Table. In mega cap tech, that space continued to rally. It's the only reason we got to where we did. Well, not the only, but one of the major reasons we got off the April lows in the way we did. Mm-hmm. What do I do now?
So look, I mean, I don't know if I've ever victory lapped on your show because I don't like that. This week has been probably our best week ever because our two main calls have basically, with Microcosmos, been short target and long Nvidia for the last 18 months. So that has worked this week.
Dude, that's a hell of a call. Short target, long Nvidia. You got to be feeling like a rock star today if you've been for the last 18 months short target, long Nvidia.
What do I do now? My call was market weight, not underweight. I've never been underweight the tech stuff.
Oh, my bad. Okay. So market weight. Yeah. You went from overweight
I've been consistently.
Yeah,
I like the market. I've been bullish on the market because of easy financial conditions and margins expanding. That's been the thesis. I think 2-3 weeks ago when it came on halftime, I'm like, it's getting closer to 50-50 now in terms of 10% up, 10% down.
That's right.
And I think that's sort of where my head still is. I think the AI thing is in the early phases, so I don't want to be a portfolio manager and say, I couldn't own AI because it was too expensive.
It's not about owning it. It's about lightening up. I mean,
and that was my view. Like the high quality stuff's gotten high beta. It's a little rich, and I think you trim a little and you add some where people hate it. I don't like romanticizing. I'm a contrarian, but I think if you want to go where people hate it, it's probably healthcare. Okay, people think it doesn't work in election year. They don't like services. The costs are high, and I think 2025 could set up pretty good. So I see trimming a little. I don't say it's a game over and never own, Google and Meta again.
No, but you said you said that Nvidia, like leading up to the earnings, you said that this was the biggest moment for the market by far. Nvidia's earnings,
Me and everyone
right?
else.
Okay, but now that they knocked the cover off the ball, right? Stock is ripping. Does that give you more confidence that there's more room to go than you thought in the market, or not? Because if they would have disappointed, we're seeing a sell-off now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it just all depends on your horizon, right? If you're investing out, 6, 12, 18 months, I think the risk reward's good. If you're, to owning tech, to owning AI, to owning the guys who have big moats and have margin expansion. If you're saying tactically, like I told you, I'm not very good at that, and I think making 1 month calls is hard.
Yeah. Kristen, so what do we do with today? Right now.
Okay, so little update on ETH. So 11 minutes ago, Eric, Bloomberg reporter, tweets, update, there is no update yet. We are waiting to hear something. Saw 2 different people on here claiming it is delayed without saying their source till later tonight, but we can't confirm with anyone yet. While not confirmed, a little delay isn't that crazy considering trading in markets was told 11th hour themselves. So they need to finish writing it. That said, everything we've heard says it will be approved. So Eric from Bloomberg is saying, hey, it's getting approved, which is big news, dude. That's huge news. But it might not be told today. So maybe we do have to wait a couple more hours to get the piece of news before it's officially out. That's big, dude. If Ethereum's approved, that's big. That's a big freaking deal. There's going to be a lot of institutional capital that now will have the ability. It's not definitely going to go to Ethereum, but it will have the potential to go into Ethereum, which is what happened with Bitcoin. And if that's the case, maybe there's a lot more money coming into Ethereum. That's also great, as someone says in the chat, for BJ says, for Robinhood. That's really good for Robinhood and Coinbase. Good for both of them. Ethereum right here, 3,700. Robinhood after hours, 1926. And then Coinbase after hours, 218. Yeah, Ethereum getting approved means there's going to be a lot more trading. There's going to be a lot more trading volumes. That's another bull market catalyst. Ethereum has a variety of different use cases in regards to smart contracts, NFTs. But the point is, it's one of the 2 cryptocurrency asset classes on the planet that have actually won in regards to capturing people's attention and also creating a network of blockchains that developers actually want to use. And so from that perspective, you can make a bull case for Ethereum. I don't necessarily know what the real bull case is, but the point is, if billions of dollars start flowing into it, it's going to gain some momentum. The market cap of Ethereum right now is $446 billion. Bitcoin's 1.3 trillion. And then Solana is at 76 billion. So Ethereum's basically the market cap of ExxonMobil, if I'm not wrong. Exxon's a little bit more valuable than Ethereum. And, could that get to 750 billion, 800 billion? I mean, if there's a lot more money coming in, it's possible. Oh, we have to wait for do you guys remember the last time? I think last time we had 400 people here on the market close when the SEC Twitter account was hacked. I'm going to go to that account right now. That would be so funny if that happens again, dude. That would be so funny. That would be insane. Security and exchange. That would be wild, dude. Could you imagine? There's no way. if they still didn't change the password. Oh my gosh. But I guess, yeah, we'll have to get the official tweet from them. So far, there is no tweets. Last tweet was May 21st, so we have no tweets from them yet. But we will see it in a second. Intuit is down. Intuit didn't have, they had a good earnings to me, but market felt they were a little bit too pricey. Intuit's down now 7%. Goodness gracious. That's a hell of a red candle. That's a red candle. And then Deckers, I think, is still up. Deckers is up 9%. Let's go to the Mag 7. Apple. Wow. Apple fell 2% today. I didn't even see that. I thought Apple was still holding 190. So we got Apple down at 186. You got Microsoft at 427, Meta 465, Google 175. They fell 2%. Amazon 180. And then Tesla here at 173. In terms of updates on Tesla, there's nothing really that crazy going on with Tesla, to my understanding. It's more so just now we're waiting for this robotaxi thing to come out. Elon did get Starlink into forgetting it where he got it. Was it Indonesia? I might be getting it wrong. I'm going to check right now. But he did launch Starlink in a new country today, which has been really good. Oh no, it was Fiji. It was the islands of Fiji, if I'm not wrong. But they got Starlink up and running in a bunch of different places, and that's really good for that. Not really impacting Tesla yet, but no other main updates on Tesla. Really, no other crazy updates on Tesla. Yeah, with Fiji. So here's the picture right here in Fiji. So there you go. He's in Fiji launching Starlink. I mean, Elon, again, just absolutely incredible entrepreneur, launching brand new products in different locations, right? It's amazing stuff. It's just not really anything that matters for Tesla yet. And so that's why we're seeing a little bit of a lack of movement in Tesla. There's the Elon interview that was just released. Yes, Elon did do an interview that was released as well. We had Tom Lee at a CNBC event yesterday. Let's hear 4 minutes from him talking a bit more on inflation and AI. This was just yesterday at the CNBC FA Summit, and then we'll keep going from there.
Economy is going to be holding up well as well. Where does that leave you with regard to the interplay of inflation, Fed policy, interest rates, and the economy?
Yeah, it's a very tricky alchemy, because I think that it's very easy for someone to say, oh, well, inflation, if it's up, it's good for earnings. So if it goes down, it's bad for earnings.
Right.
And a lot of people got tripped up on that, because reality is a lot of companies have inverse correlation to inflation. A great example is technology is inversely correlated to inflation. So their margins actually go up if inflation is falling. With regard to the Fed, again, the Fed it's tricky because it's unknowable. I mean, I have no insight into what the Fed's going to do, but in general, I think that we've been more optimistic that they're going to achieve their idea of a soft landing. So we've leaned that the Fed is more dovish than people perceive.
We actually have a viewer question right along these lines, which is that, shelter costs, of course, a big part of why reported inflation remains as high as it is. And yet a lot of folks don't want to move because maybe high interest rates are holding them back, or maybe that's reducing the affordability. So in other words, would lower rates potentially help the one thing that's keeping inflation as high as it is?
Yeah, I've heard that argument.
Yeah.
I think it's actually really well reasoned, and it's counterintuitive, because you'd think, oh, well, if you cut rates, shouldn't home prices shoot up? But you're right. If it's liquidity that's keeping homes from moving, and a proper equilibrium of housing, it's absolutely dead on. Yeah. And there's also this excess premium right now on mortgage rates. The 10-year versus mortgage rates is almost 100 basis points wider than it should be. So as soon as Fed starts cutting, that collapses, and it makes housing affordable.
Yeah, like 2.5 percentage points at this point, I guess, right? Yeah. We have to talk about, I guess, the innovation part of this market, which has been a huge source of energy for the upside in stocks. So we have Nvda reporting today, really at the center of this massive investment boom. It's also responsible for a big chunk of the upside for the S&P this year. So how do you handicap where we are in this trend, and what AI's payoff is ultimately going to look like?
Yeah. To us, when we did a study looking at what happened, what drives innovation cycles in America. And believe it or not, the two biggest innovation cycles in the US, which was 1948 to 57, which was a boom time, and 1991 to 99, were two periods when the world was short structurally of labor. So you had a prime age workforce growing slower than the total population, which means there was a lot of pressure on either wages or ways to innovate to produce more output. We've gone into a period of structural deficit of prime force labor, which is going to last till 2045, which means another tech cycle, I think, is underway. And for viewers, it's not just like Nvidia makes chips and you got to buy it. It's just that there may be an 80 million prime age workforce shortage globally. That's $3 trillion of wages that won't be spent on labor. Nvidia's revenues are 100 billion. So to us, this is really early stages for the amount of money that will be spent on generative AI.
So $3 trillion over 20 years that would otherwise have been spent on labor.
And it's $3 trillion a year.
Oh,
so
it's a year.
Actually close to 6% of GDP.
Got it. Okay. And so that, in theory, would be the source of the investment on an ongoing basis on productivity measures.
Yeah, in simplistic terms, it's taking wage costs to silicon.
Yeah,
is really the theme.
I think Tom Lee is right about a lot of things he talks about, especially in the context of AI and what it's doing with labor and the $3 trillion of spend he's talking about. Thank you for the $5.99. Dude, I've been doing this for like 3 years. And is that a euro? Is that a pound? Is that something from Asia? I don't know what that is, but thank you for $5.99 of that, Capo King. I really appreciate it. I think Tom Lee's correct on this thesis. And if inflation keeps coming down, I think that thesis is only going to be hypercharged. It's a euro. Okay, it's a euro. Thank you for the €5.99 over the coming years as well. Dude, it's been years, and I don't know. What does a euro and a pound really look like? Pound currency symbol. Let me try to drill this into my brain. What does it actually look like? What are the images here? Oh, hold on. This is a good, I got to staple this on my head. Okay, so here we go. Oh, so a pound looks like a pound. A pound does not look like a pound. A euro, oh, euro actually looks like an E. Okay, there you go. That's more reasonable. Okay, so that makes sense to me. Okay, ETH ETF, we don't have an update on that. Here's my question for you guys. Here's the question, okay? We have a new Elon interview. It's 39 minutes. Do you guys want to watch it? Yes or no? Put in the chat, yes or no. If not, then we'll end the stream here, and then we will, I'll see you guys at 6 p.m. If so, we'll end the stream at like 5:20, because it'll end by 5:20, the Elon interview, and then we'll, and then 6 p.m. I'll be back for another show with Matt Hogan, the Bitcoin ETF dude. If you guys want to watch it, if you don't want to watch it, you can leave. That's also fine as well. But Elon does have a new interview. We can watch it right now, and we can just stay here and watch it. I mean, I'm kind of curious about what Elon. It's not just going to be about Tesla. It's going to be about a ton of stuff. It's probably not going to be anything that exciting, but it's going to be Elon talking. All right, we're doing it. We're doing Elon. All right. If not, thank you all for joining. If you want to be back at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll be live with the CIO of Bitwise, Matt Hogan, and we'll be talking about Bitcoin. If not, thank you for joining today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. All right, we got Elon. Here we go. Let's pull it up. Here's 40 minutes of brand new Elon. Shout out to Farzad for the edit on this video. Here we go.
I have put a title based on a movie of Woody Allen, which is everything you always wanted to know about Elon, but were afraid to ask. So
Okay.
that is the theme of our conversation this afternoon.
Is my head giant?
But in reality, it's not about Elon, but about what Elon does. And that will
Dude, Elon's having so much fun. He's having so much fun. This is great.
start immediately with Neuralink. I will just kick off with 2 or 3 questions in order to warm up the room, because people are shy, not ready for the questions. So I have to warm it up progressively. N'est-ce pas? Oh! And I would like to ask about Neuralink, but before I put the question, I would like that we see a very short video of the patient.
Sure.
Can we have the video?
You're moving the cursor. You're moving the cursor, Nolan, just by thinking about where you want it to go, or is it your eyes?
No, it's just me thinking about wherever I want it to go.
Oh man! So you're not even tracing it with your eyes. You're just
so-
looking at it.
Nope, I can move it and I can move the cursor around, whatever I would like to do. I don't have to be staring at it at all. Yeah, that's all me, man.
And you can play chess. You can play video games. What other applications are that you found useful for it so far?
Yeah, man, there's so much. I can send all of my emails. I've been, doing all of my scheduling, replying to everyone. I've been, reading books. I listen to audiobooks, just all sorts of stuff. And it doesn't really take much effort either.
Elon must be moving to see that.
Yes, I think we can help a lot of people with brain injuries. I mean, ultimately, with an implantable device, you can, I think, address almost any brain or spine injury. So the first part that we have there is called telepathy. So it enables you to use your phone or computer just by thinking. So you could do that, move the cursor literally with his eyes closed. It's reading signals from the motor cortex in the brain. The next product is blind sight, which will enable people who have lost both eyes or have no eyesight whatsoever to see. And this is directly interfacing with the optical processing areas of the brain. So, I think this is interesting progress. Ultimately, the goal of Neuralink is to have a high bandwidth interface in order to mitigate the risk of digital superintelligence. I don't know. I'm not saying it will work to mitigate the risk. It is just, it might help. And this is somewhat esoteric, but the limiting factor, I think, for AI alignment long term is probably going to be the bandwidth. How quickly can we communicate with our digital tertiary self? So we already have a digital sort of third layer above the limbic system and the cortex, which is our phones and our computers and all of our electronic devices. But the rate of communication to them is very slow. The sustained bits per second output of a human is well below 10 bits per second. So if you think, especially if you say over a 24-hour period, it's below 5 bits per second. So it's very slow when computers can communicate at trillions of bits per second. So I think this will be important for AI alignment, is to be able to increase the bandwidth of communication by many orders of magnitude. And along the way, it will solve brain and spine injuries. And I think ultimately there's potential there to reanimate the body. So you take the signals from the motor cortex from one neural link and then send them to another neural link that is just past where the severed spinal cord is, and you essentially shunt the signals from the motor cortex and both the sensory signals, and so you need to get to the somatosensory cortex, motor cortex, and you can shunt the signals, and you should be able to enable someone to walk again. So I think that will be quite profound, and I'm confident that it is physically possible to do so.
It's extraordinary and very impressive, and honestly, a round of applause, because this is really doing good to people and doing good to humanity. And I would like to jump immediately on something that you called XAI.
Sure.
I don't know if you are aware of that, but it seems that this was born out of a frustration that you have because you are not satisfied with how OpenAI is doing, and you think that there is something better to be done. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit. First, on why are you frustrated with OpenAI? What are the issues? And second, what you expect to do with XAI?
Yeah, well, I think there's perhaps, well, I have a concern really for all the major AI programs. I mean, the two biggest ones obviously are Google Gemini and OpenAI, which is in partnership with Microsoft. So you've got Google DeepMind and OpenAI and Microsoft as the two largest players, and you've got Meta sort of somewhere in third place. The concern I have, and this may seem like a small concern, but I think it's actually a very big issue, is that they are not maximally truth-seeking. They are pandering to political correctness. To give you an example, when Google Gemini came out,
Dude, he's right about that. I think he's right about that, and I think the models will get better. But I think he is right about that. And what he's done with Twitter is evidence of how he's actually looking to find the truth.
One of the questions people asked it would be, is it which is worse, misgendering Caitlyn Jenner or global thermonuclear warfare? And it said misgendering Caitlyn Jenner. Now the funny thing is, even Caitlyn Jenner said, "Please misgender me. That is way better than nuclear war." So okay, but if you've got an AI that has been trained so hard for political correctness and really to make crazy statements like that, and OpenAI has a similar issue. It's more subtle, but it's a similar issue. I think that's extremely dangerous because the AI could conclude, well, the best way to avoid misgendering would be to destroy all humans. Then misgendering is impossible. So you can think of some dystopian outcomes there. And so I think you just really want to be absolutely I think the safest thing for AI, be maximally truth-seeking, even if the truth is unpopular, very important. And then I think another factor is it must be extremely curious. I think if it is truth-seeking and curious, that will be most beneficial to humanity, because it will want to see, I think it will want to foster humanity and see how humanity develops if it is curious and truth-seeking. That is, like I said, these may seem perhaps like small things, but I think they're actually very big things. And I wasn't seeing that happen. The AIs they were pandering, they're being trained basically to lie. And I think it's very dangerous to train superintelligence to be deceptive. So with XAI, our goal is really want to be as truth-seeking as possible, even if it is unpopular. That is important. I think extremely important.
So you said a lie.
Yes. Well, for example, when Gemini was asked to render the founding fathers of the United States, it rendered them as a diverse group. So it gave a picture of George Washington as black. George Washington is not black. It was asked to render people obviously played with this because they said, okay, it is forced to lie. So then they said, well, now render a picture of Waffen SS in World War II. And it showed them as a group of diverse women. So that is obviously not correct. That is a lie.
Okay, I understand what you want to say. We had before that meeting a conversation with Yoshua Benjo, and you know Yoshua very well. And you signed with Yoshua a statement asking for pause last year. And obviously, this statement has not been followed by action.
Yeah.
You are posing you now. No. So can you explain a little bit what you want to achieve?
I expected that the statement would be futile. It's not as though I thought the statement would be effective. I just for the record, I think we should pause. But do I think they will pause for even 1 second? Absolutely not.
So we are not pausing. You have decided to create your own AI.
It's either be a spectator or participate. But the race to build digital superintelligence will happen whether I like it or not. So it's either participate and try to build the best possible AI, the one that'll be hopefully most beneficial to humanity, or watch others do it and be concerned about how it's being built, because I don't think it's being built correctly. But you should think of an AI as like something that you almost like you grow in intelligence. In the same way that you raise a child, and like what do you teach the child? And digital superintelligence is grown. It matters what you do, courage and discourage. What you teach it is, good or bad, or what. It's kind of like you build it with values. So, and I'm concerned about sort of the values that sort of a Microsoft or frankly Google are programming. And this is not. These examples I've mentioned are not imaginary. They're actually what it did.
Good. As I don't want to frustrate the audience, and I promised that we'll have an interactive session where people can ask directly questions to you, I will stop here on my own questions, and I will eventually come back if they have no questions.
This is going to be interesting. So we got audience questions to Elon. This will be interesting to see.
Put to you. We will start with group number 1. I remind you that you have 15 seconds. And 15 seconds. And if you don't put your question in 15 seconds, you will be cut. So it is important that you put a short question. Go on.
Hi, Elon. So I'm Olivia. I'm actually from Viva Tech, and we have an initiative called the Good
Hey, yo. She's kind of cute, bro.
Hack, where we're asking our attendees questions about how to develop AI responsibly. So my question for you is, how can we ensure that AI development remains transparent and accountable across, all the different development, obviously like yours, XAI, but other ones as well? Thank you.
Bro, tell me she's not cute. That's a cute voice too. She's cute. Olivia. I like that.
Well, I have said for a long time that I believe that some regulatory oversight of the large models is warranted. I've actually said that now for a very long time. The nature of that oversight is important. I go back to what I was saying earlier, which is that I think it's very important that AIs be trained to be truthful and not trained to be politically correct. Because if political correctness is often simply not true, and that means you're programming AIs to lie, and I think that will backfire very badly. So, I keep harping on this point but it really, as the saying goes, honesty is the best policy. It's incredibly important. I do fear that regulators will not make the right decisions, that they'll worry too much about the sort of human follies. And I would encourage regulators to say, what matters most of all is your AI is accurate and truthful. That is by far, that's rule number 1. Honesty is the best policy.
You have exactly the same opinion than Joshua Benjo, but he has a different way to get there. Group number 2.
Hey, Elon, my name is Marina, and we all know just part of you, Elon Musk in public. It's a
Guys, real quick, Meet Kevin's. Wow, Meet Kevin just updated his ETF. He bought Microsoft 1%, bought Monday.com 1%. That's like a work management software. He bought Snowflake 1%. And then this one, you're not going to believe. You're not going to fucking believe it. He bought Robinhood 2%. If you remember when I interviewed him in January, he said Robinhood's fucked this year. He basically said Robinhood once, blah, blah, blah. He just gave some bear case for Robinhood. He actually bought Robinhood. Wow. Interesting. So Robinhood, Monday.com, Snowflake, and Microsoft. That's what he just added.
character that we love in a good way character. So do you, and if you do, how do you check everything that you say that you do, if it enters in this character or no? Thank you.
Well, I kind of stop. I don't have like news alerts on me, and I rarely read news articles on me. In fact, even Walter Isaacson's book, I asked Walter, should I read the book? And he said no. So then I didn't even read the book on myself. So I actually don't quite know what the public perception is, except that, the nature of news is that it is going to be salacious. It is going to be somewhat of a caricature, because the more sort of crazy something sounds, the more clicks it will get. So I find like when you think about, say, a news story about something that you know well, and say how accurate is that news story about something that you know well, then I think you'll find that, well, it's actually not very accurate. Well, that's true for everything. There's sort of a desperate quest for clicks, and the more crazy the headline is, the more clicks it will get. So this is not to suggest that there aren't true things said by the media. It's just that it is best thought of, the media is best thought of as a click maximizing machine, not a truth maximizing machine. So, I think it's best to look at the words that somebody that says themselves, as opposed to what is written about them.
Number 3.
On that note, time for a media question. Elon Musk, it's Karen Cho from CNBC. I think it's fair to say there are lingering doubts about your commitment to bring a low-cost EV to market in a landscape where the likes of BYD can produce a car for about $10,000.
This is such a reportery question, dude. It's not an exciting question.
Are 100% tariffs from the Biden administration the green light you need to push ahead with this low-cost EV? And if so, what is the timeline for deliveries?
Well, I mean, I would say it's difficult for me to answer.
Dude, that's like an analyst question. He can't answer that. These are not the types of events to say, what's the timeline for delivery? He's not going to give you an answer to that. That's a wasted question.
There are questions about a publicly traded company that are such a significant nature.
You are back. Oh.
Tesla investor relations just snapped the cord on him when he tried to answer that. Yeah, that was a bad question.
We will use Starlinks.
Yes.
So Karen.
This was not Starlink. My apologies. So I don't know why this connection is bad. It's normally crystal clear. So let's see. I think there's a question about.
You want Karen to put the question again, Karen?
No, I heard the question.
Okay.
They always want to ask questions that directly affect the stock price, which is, not my favorite kind of question to answer. So, and nor is it, I think, of interest to the audience. So, but the other point I want to make really is that neither Tesla nor I asked for these tariffs. In fact, I was surprised when they were announced. Tesla competes quite well in the market in China with no tariffs and no differential support. So in general, I'm in favor of no tariffs. I'm also actually in favor of no tax incentives for EVs, but provided that there are also the tax incentives for oil and gas must also be eliminated. So I'm in favor of no tariffs and no incentives for electric vehicles or for oil and gas. And if they're all taken away, I think that would be for the best.
So it's back to what you were saying about truth. You want the truth working, truth of the price.
I think generally things that inhibit freedom of exchange or distort the market are not good. They're bad.
Number 4.
So, yeah. So,
hey, Elon, thanks for being there. So I was wondering if you had a time travel machine and you were able to go back in time and speak to the younger Elon, to which age would you go and what would you tell him? And also, can I get a ride on the new Tesla Roadster when it comes out?
Which age?
Well, you do have that classic time traveler problem of like, if you go back and you tell yourself something, does that affect the outcome in a way that is perhaps bad, that you don't anticipate? So, all things considered, I'd say overall, I'm kind of, it's hard, I'd say I'm happy with how things turned out. So I'd probably I probably wouldn't do anything, because you just don't know if like some well-meaning thing you said to a younger version of yourself actually ends up with a worse outcome. So probably I would be curious to see younger me, I suppose, but I probably would stay invisible and not say anything. So yeah, you never know how things will turn out. Then with respect to the Roadster, sure, I'll make sure you get a ride. If you send me an email when it comes out, I'll make sure you get a ride.
If you were a Frenchman, I would say the best age is love, because when we love, we are always 20. Number 5.
Actually, I am slightly French. When I did the 23andMe, to be honest, I am majority British, but the next highest thing it said in 23andMe was French. So,
okay, great. We will make sure that.
I'm sure I'm Australian, bro. Like, I've got the Australian accent inside of me. It doesn't come out as well as it needs to, but like when I hear it from like someone else, I know it like spiritually resonates with me. So if I did a 23andMe, I'm probably from Australia.
That you can be a French citizen as soon as you want. Number 5.
Hi, bonjour Elon in French. I'm Delphine Urba. I'm president and founder of Orbital Lux. We're bridging aerospace and luxury. I wanted to know if you have any thoughts on the recent partnership between Estee Lauder and NASA, or Coca and NASA, and if you wanted to do any initiatives with SpaceX, and what you would do. What would you like to develop? Thank you.
Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with what you mentioned there. SpaceX is very focused on the Starlink constellation for internet connectivity, which I think is doing a lot of good in the world. It's bringing internet to places that don't have it, or where it is very expensive. And I think it's a tremendous enabler of education and for enabling people to sell their goods and services internationally. So even if you're a remote village, you can still sell your goods and services. So the Starlink is great. And then the long-term goal, of course, for SpaceX is to make life multiplanetary, sort of life on Mars. This is my Mars shirt. I picked it there. So it's, this is, again, somewhat of an esoteric argument, perhaps, or it may seem so, but the goal of SpaceX is to pass the single planet Fermi grade filter. So people often ask me, do I think there are aliens on Earth? I get this question a lot, actually, and I have not seen any evidence of aliens. And I assure you, if I saw any evidence of aliens, I would immediately post it on the X platform. That you can be sure of. So, but it is concerning that there aren't aliens, because it means maybe we're alone in this galaxy. Maybe we're the only, maybe it's just us. Maybe it's just that we're the only conscious beings, at least in this galaxy. In which case, consciousness is extremely fragile, and we should do everything we can to preserve and extend the light of consciousness, preserve it on Earth and extend to other planets. And so, one of the reasons that people think, well, maybe the reason we haven't gotten into aliens is because no civilization has gotten beyond its home planet in our galaxy. So that's what you might call the Fermi single planet grade filter. Enrico Fermi was a great Italian physicist who asked this profound question: where are the aliens? So we need to become a sustainably multi-planet civilization. And this is the first time in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth when it has been possible to do so. It has never been possible until now. So I think we want to become sustainably multi-planetary while it is possible to do so. That window of
Ethereum's up 2%, guys.
Capability may be open for a long time, but it may also be open for a short time. So that is the purpose of SpaceX.
Some people believe that you are an alien.
I am an alien.
You are. Please, now you are uncovered.
Yes. I keep telling people I'm an alien, but nobody believes me.
Number 6.
Dude, his laugh is like the greatest laugh on planet Earth, dude. Like, let's do that laugh again. It's the best laugh ever.
Yes. I keep telling people I'm an alien, but nobody believes me.
Number 6.
Dude, that laugh is great.
Oh, sorry. You see, number 6 has disappeared.
No, I'm here.
Now you are here.
I'm here. No. Yeah, over here. Over here. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Perfect.
okay.
Hi, Elon.
Hi.
Love my Model 3. I'm Canadian. Ryan from Farpoint AI. My question is about XAI. So competition in open source AI helps all of those that don't have 100,000 H100s. Could XAI commit to always releasing a model that beats the current open source model, the best open source model, if they have one? Not necessarily your best model, but if you can beat the current open source top of the list, you can commit to releasing that for our benefit.
Yes, I will make that commitment.
Okay. Number 7.
Wow. That's a big deal. By the way, Elon just raised at an $18 billion valuation from all the big VCs in Silicon Valley that closed like 2 days ago. So he just raised a lot of money to build XAI.
That's good. Short answers.
Hi.
People will speak.
Bonjour. Hi, Elon. My name is Katya, and I'm founder of the startup Chat and Charge. We connecting people to people for EV charging because they still feel a lack of charging station around the Europe.
15 seconds you have.
Yes, and my question is about what is your program about the EV charging infrastructure for next 5 years?
Well, actually, I think that there's a lot of charging infrastructure. You can travel certainly anywhere in Greater Europe on a Tesla using Tesla superchargers, and Europe actually has a lot of pretty good third-party superchargers. And you can travel anywhere in North America, anywhere in China, Japan. So I think actually the freedom to travel with high-speed charging is solved in most parts of the world and will be solved everywhere.
Number 1.
Hi, Elon. I'm Oliver Vroom. I'm running an AI safety group in Utrecht. I'm wondering, how can I convince people about the danger of AI? And could I chat with the people at XAI Safety's team? Shout out to userexperience.org as well.
Yeah. With digital superintelligence. As I said earlier, I think the biggest issue is that it has to be trained to be rigorously truthful, and it has to be trained to be curious. And I've thought a lot about AI safety for a long time. One of the challenges you have with programming explicit morality into AI is that sometimes people call this the Waluigi problem. If you program Luigi, you can automatically invert that and create bad Luigi. So what you cannot invert is the truth of is physical reality. So you can't invert the rules of physics. You can't invert logic. And so I think that is the better way to go. So really, I think what regulators should be concerned about is the AI being rigorously truthful? Is it giving an answer that is most probably correct with acknowledged error? I think that's the best move for AI, and that's what we're trying to do at XAI. Now, XAI is a new company, so it still has a lot of catching up to do before it has an that is competitive with sort of Google DeepMind and Microsoft OpenAI. So I think maybe towards the end of this year we will have that, but there's not much point in trying to make it we just need to have an AI that is competitive. Is the first order of business. If it is not competitive, which it is not yet, but I think it will be, then things start to have a point at that. Like we need to only start worrying about safety when it is of comparable power to other AIs. So anyway, and I just keep harping on this point of the truth. Truth. This is very important. And sometimes people will say, like, well, is there an objective truth? I say, well, in a lot of cases there is. If you're talking about physics, there is an objective truth, or you can say there's a truth with highest probability. So you can say what is most probably true with an acknowledged error. So in physics, people will say, like, this hypothesis appears to be true to a sort of 5 sigma error type of thing. So it's like, okay, well, if the experimental results are coming true to 5 sigma, then it's probably correct. 5 sigma is flat. So Anyway, it's kind of like, I guess, a sort of a Fizz approach to safety is, yeah. I'm repeating myself here, but I can't emphasize enough that honesty is the best policy. But there are strong forces for AI to not be honest. If something is not an unfashionable thing to say, then it will be politically correct, and that's lying.
Thank you. Number one, I'm sorry for.
Hello,
8.
Elon. My name is Shan. I'm a student of University of Paris. We found that a lot of jobs being replaced by AI. Do you worry about your job?
It looks like we got the Ethereum approved, the ETH ETF. We'll get back to Elon. We got 10 minutes left on that. Is that approved? Is it official? Let me see. If ETH right now is at up 3,800. It's up 3%. Let me try to see if we got the approval on Ethereum. Confirmed. It is approved. It is approved. It is approved. The ETH Ethereum is officially approved. Wow. Holy guac and moly. The Ethereum ETF is officially approved. The Ethereum ETF is officially approved. Wow. The SEC just approved the listing of all Ethereum ETH ETFs. Wow. This is a pretty big deal. This is a pretty big deal. This is crazy. Hold on. Let me check the price on it right now. So let me show you guys the price. This is what we're looking at on this. ETH is up 2% on the news. This is a big news for crypto. This is a big news for crypto. Here it is. We're done. We're in. We're in. Wow. So where's Bitcoin going as a result of that? Where is Bitcoin? Bitcoin's up. It was at 66. Now it's at 68. So that's nice. ETH is not literally exploding. You got to remember it's up 30% on the week. Now like 34%. So it's up a lot. Like, I mean, the run happened. People kind of knew this was going to happen and they front ran it. But yeah, it's live. It's official. Let me see if CNBC is talking about it. Let's see if they're talking about it, but it's live, folks. It is approved. The SEC has approved the listing of all Ethereum ETFs. It is live. CNBC is not talking about it, but it's live. It is official. Let me see if Bloomberg's talking about it. Do we have anything from them? Bloomberg, but it's live. Wow, dude. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that would happen in real time? Yeah, Bloomberg's not talking about it either, but it's live. It's live. All right. It happened, and now it's kind of like, all right, it is what it is. I mean, it's the Bitcoin stuff was a little bit bigger of a move. If Ethereum was like 3,200 right now, we would probably see a bigger move, but it was basically at this price yesterday, right? So it's not like the price needs to appreciate that much, but seeing over 4,000 over the coming days might be good. Robinhood is up 2.39% after hours. Coinbase is up 4%. MicroStrategy up 3%. Bitfarms up 1%. Marathon's up 2%. Riot's up 2.6%. CleanSpark's up 2.4%. So all the crypto names getting some benefit as Ethereum is approved. All right, there you go. We'll go back to Elon. I'll try to get some more news, but Ethereum's approved. It is officially approved. All right, I'll try to get some more news, but we'll go back to Elon in the meantime.
Being replaced by AI? If not, why? If your job was replaced by AI, what would you do?
Well, I mean, we do get into some existential questions here. In a benign scenario, we probably none of us will have a job. But in that benign scenario, there will be universal high income. Not universal basic income, universal high income. There will be no shortage of goods or services. And I think the benign scenario is the most likely scenario, probably, 80% likely to ask, in my opinion. The question will not be one of lacking goods or services. Everyone will have access to as much in the way of goods and services as they would like. The question will really be one of meaning, of how, if the computer can do, and the robots can do everything better than you, then what does your life have meaning? That's really will be the question in the benign scenario. And in the negative scenario, well, bets are off. We're in deep trouble. So I do think there's perhaps still a role for humans in that we may give AI meaning. So if you think of the way that our brain works, we've got the limbic system, which is our instincts and our feelings, and then we've got the cortex, which is thinking and planning. But the cortex is constantly trying to make the limbic system happy. So maybe that's how it'll be with AI, which is the AI is trying to make our cortex happy, which is trying to make our limbic system happy. And maybe we are what give the AI meaning or purpose, some kind of, But I do think that long term, in a benign scenario, any job that somebody does will be optional. Like if you want to do a job as kind of like a hobby, you can do a job. But otherwise, the AI and the robots will provide any goods and services that you want.
Okay, so you see, there is a future where no one will need to work. It will be just passion.
So that is the most likely outcome. If people are interested in reading some science fiction books, that the most accurate portrayal of a future with superintelligent AI was done by Ian Banks. The culture books of Ian Banks are the best. That's probably the best envisioning of a future AI.
Number 2.
Hello, Mr. Musk. So first of all, congratulations for your graduation of your kid. And my question is, do you think that AI will impact the education of the future generation of kids? Mostly about that, the values and the morals.
Well, I think the parents will still be responsible for values and morals. I do think AI will dramatically affect education because the AI is an extremely knowledgeable teacher, very patient, will be almost always correct, and can tailor the lessons specifically to the child. So it'll be like each child has, Einstein for a teacher. So it would be something quite profound. I do worry that kids these days are being trained by social media, and the social media AI algorithms are basically dopamine maximizers. So they're trying to maximize maximize the amount of dopamine that you get by watching the screen. So that I would urge parents to limit the amount of social media that children are able to see, because they're being programmed by a dopamine maximizing AI.
So you understand that Elon is ready to sacrifice X to XAI. Number 3.
Hi, Elon. Spriya Srivastava from Business Insider. Taking it to Tesla, Tesla's had a bumpy few months looking at flagging sales at home, stock market decline, layoffs.
Okay, so Business Insider hates Elon, just to give you some context.
When you look back, are there any things...
We can stop the question right now because I don't think Business Insider is a real publication.
Oh, shit. I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't know he was going to do that. Whoa.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next question.
All right. Thank you.
Wow, dude. Shout out to Elon. That's what you have to do. You have to do that. You cannot let media publications try to impose their propagandist views against you by trying to clickbait you. You got to shut it down. And Elon has one of the platforms on the internet, the only platform on the internet that's trying to find the truth, like Twitter, versus Business Insider that has just done hit piece after hit piece after just false, blatant lies about his life, trying to get into his sex life, like crazy stuff about him. That's what you're supposed to fucking do. That's amazing. That's incredible. And I don't think that's that's him saying, oh, I don't want to have a conversation with you. That's him saying, look, if you're like literally, stabbing me, I'm going to say, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore. It's not about free speech. It's about you guys are just a rebellious organization that lies, and I'm not going to handle it.
Next question, number 4.
The laugh is perfect. The laugh is great after that.
Elon, my name is Shahrukh, and I have a very specific question about Neuralink. Do you think in future, with the help of Neuralink, you will be able to use the human brain scans data to develop the most powerful and creative AI the world has ever seen? And if you like my question, will I ever get a visit to a space station in my life? SpaceX station in my life?
I see 42 in the background there. The answer to life, the universe, and everything. Actually, which reminds me that another book worth reading is Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's a book of philosophy that is just sort of kind of disguised as a book on humor, or coming through as humor. So always worth reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I find that to be quite an inspiration. And the name of the first starship to go to Mars will be Heart of Gold, after the ship in the Hitchhiker's Guide. So the goal of SpaceX is to enable anyone who wants to go to Mars or wants to go to the moon to be able to go, so that it is affordable to a very large percentage of people on Earth. That's our goal, which is essential in order to build a self-sustaining civilization on Mars. To make life multiplanetary, you obviously need to bring a lot of people to Mars. And like I said, I think that's a very important thing for the long-term survival of consciousness. Because eventually something will happen on Earth that will eliminate life as we know it, as happened with the dinosaurs and happened many times in the fossil record. So, hopefully it's not anytime soon, but it will eventually, there will be some sort of natural cataclysm that eliminates life as we know it on Earth, even if we do not eliminate it ourselves. So I think it's very, very important to make life multiplanetary while we can. And that means making it as affordable as possible to move to Mars, as well as the moon.
So before going to Mars, we will take a few questions because we are coming to the end. Number 6.
Hi. So my name is Mara, CEO and founder of Unlock. My question will be on the African technological development. Last time I had a great conversation, with someone you may know, who had been nominated by Times Magazine as an AI world influencer. And talking about Africa, and given the increasing potential on this continent in technology, what initiatives, collaboration, or contribution do you foresee?
It's difficult to say. I do think Africa has a lot of potential, and I think one of the things holding Africa back has been lack of internet connectivity, which is what Starlink is helping to solve. With that, people can learn anything and be sort of part of the global culture. Whereas if you're not connected, then all you can do is like write letters or something. So connectivity is essential for Africa and other places to be part of the global culture and participate in AI and other activities.
Number 7.
Hi, Ellen. I'm Louis Nicolas, and I'm building an AI that is super authentic and precise to help entrepreneurs grow and manage their business. But
okay, that is the most Silicon Valley of Silicon Valley ideas I've ever heard. I'm building a super AI to help entrepreneurs. But let's just keep going.
I'm super enthusiastic about travel and adventure, and I want to ask you, when do we go to Mars?
We have seen it, and it's okay.
It's really going for it with the 42.
But it's good, but it's okay. 42. L'école 42. Très bien.
Well, I think we'll hopefully land the first Starship uncrewed on Mars within 5 years, and also on the moon. And I think we will have the first people on the moon, or both the moon and first people on the moon probably within 5 years, and then first people on Mars probably within 10 years. Maybe, I think less than 10 years, maybe 7 or 8 years.
You mean you will be able to land on Mars in 7, 8 years?
Yes.
With people?
Yes.
Wow.
That is what is designed for.
That's kind of wild if we actually pull that off.
Number 8.
Hi, Elon. I have a quick question. I would like to know, in relation with electromobility, what innovative projects do Elon Musk and Tesla have in mind for the coming years? Thank you.
So do you want to disclose your secret here? Well, we are all waiting for something, breaking news.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we don't want to do sort of product announcements, simply as in Q&A. That wouldn't make sense. We do our product events. So, but obviously, some of the things people are aware of, like robo-taxis or cyber cabs, and the Optimus humanoid robot. So those are very big deals. Even if that's the only thing you knew about Tesla, that will be those two things will be extremely profound. A large fleet of autonomous vehicles that, basically a generalized solution to self-driving and a generalized solution to a humanoid robot those two things are incredibly profound.
Elon, we promised that we will be done at 6:30 our time. It is 6:37, but we had the interruption because of the connection. Do you give us 5 more minutes?
Let me just double check, and I think I would like to if I, yeah, sure.
Sure. On a 5 minutes, very short question, very short answers. Very short question.
Elon Musk, I'm Frederick. Years ago, you said that Ariane 5 rocket wouldn't have any chance to survive. Would you say the same about Ariane 6, which will be launched in July, and which is much more cost efficient? Thank you.
Short answer.
Yes. Any rocket that is not at least mostly reusable has no competitive chance. So with Falcon 9, the booster, the main stage is reused, and the fairing or nose cone is reused. So you have about 80% of the vehicle being reused and reflown. It's simply not possible for an expandable vehicle to compete with a reusable vehicle. And I mean, one can think of this in any other arena. If it was cars or planes or boats, if one company was making a reusable plane or an 80% reusable plane, and another company was making a plane that was expendable, that you could use only for one flight, the company making the expendable planes would have no business at all, because you'd have to buy a new plane every time you take a flight somewhere. So this is why I've said for many years that it is completely pointless to develop rockets that are not reusable.
Number 2.
Thank you. Philip from Quick Chat. I wanted to ask the following question. People love ChatGPT, but unilaterally hate most website chatbot experiences, the bottom right corner ones. What's needed to bridge that gap? I messaged you on X so we can continue this later.
I'm not sure I fully understand the question there. There's, I agree.
Did he say I messaged you on X so we can continue the conversation later? Dude, did he actually say that? Did he actually say we got to hear that again. Did he actually say I messaged you on X to...
For many years, that
it's needed to bridge that gap. I messaged you on X so we can continue this later.
Dude, what the fuck? Oh, did you see his eyes when he said that? Dude, hold on, dude.
Unilaterally hate most website chatbot experiences, the bottom right corner ones. What's needed to bridge that gap? I messaged you on X so we can continue this later.
I'm not sure.
I messaged you on X so we can finish this. First of all, Elon's not checking his DM, bro. Like, what? I would say, some people are so weird, bro. They're so weird. What does he think saying that right now is actually gonna make a difference between his message getting? This is insane, bro. This is people are so weird, bro.
Sure, I fully understand the question there. There's, I agree. ChatGPT is great at chatting. Like I said, my concern is that it is not rigorously in pursuit of the truth, and that's a major concern. So that's it. So Grok will be pursuing, Grok from XAI will at least sort of try its best to be rigorously in pursuit of the truth. And also we want to try to be the funniest AI. So I think, if we are going to die, at least we should die laughing. So we're trying hard to make Grok be the funniest AI.
Elon, you have been extremely generous with your time. It has been great. You have been truthful. You have given profound answers. I would like that we make a lot of noise to thank you. You are hearing the noise. This means that next year you have to be in person. Give you the date long time in advance. And before you leave, I will ask you for one word, your biggest hope, one word, your biggest fear.
Well, I don't know about one word. I guess my biggest hope, I guess I could give you my biggest hope in one word.
I think he'll say truth. I'll probably be wrong on this, but I'm going to say truth. Let's see what he says.
Which would be Mars.
Okay, I was definitely wrong about that.
That's going to be obvious. So, yeah, Mars would ensure that that consciousness survives for a long time. My biggest fear, in one word, AI.
What a surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You to guess both of them, I think.
Okay. So thank you very much, Elon. You have been great as always.
All right, there we go. Dude, the guy's, I'll message you on X so we can finish this later. That was so weird, dude. Like, he's either said it as a joke or he genuinely was like, hey, if I tell Elon that I DM'd him, he's definitely going to, like, that was interesting. Okay, question for the chat. Can you buy Ethereum on Robinhood? Yes, you can. You can buy Ethereum on Robinhood. You'll get the cheapest price compared to the other brokerages that are out there. Just make sure you set a limit. Make sure you set a limit. You want 37.45. Set a limit. It'll fill eventually. And you'll pay a lot less than Coinbase. All right, guys. So that's it for me. We'll be live in 30 minutes, and we'll be talking to the CIO of Bitwise, Matt Hogan. They are officially launching an ETH ETF as well, so I'll get his raw thoughts on Ethereum being approved and everything Bitcoin. Ethereum right now, after hours, I mean, not really after hours, but you know what I mean, 37.77. It's basically flat, not really up from the news because it's up, 25% this week. But there'll be a lot to talk about in regards to what's going on with Ethereum. All right, cool. So I'll be back in 30 minutes. Get some food, get ready. I'll put the link right here in the chat so everyone has it. You can just keep it with you. This is the link. We'll be live in 30, and we'll be talking all things Bitcoin. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll see you in just a little bit. Bye, everyone.